All right, I'd like to call the July ZBA meeting to order. The clerk, please call the roll.
Richard Brooks.
Here.
Matt Kaiser.
Present.
Ken Hilton.
Present.
Brad Fredette.
Present.
Ken Vincent.
Here.
Anthony Jones.
Present.
Okay, first order of business, I'd like to appoint Mr. Hilton as a full voting member. Second order of business is approval of minutes of the June 4th, 2025 meeting. What's the wish of the board? Mr. Vincent.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Brooks. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, raise your right hand. Passes 5-0.
I'm an abstention. I was not here.
I'm sorry, 4-0. Old business, any old business that may come before the board? Any old business?
No.
Ms. Crosley, none. Any old business from board members? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Item 3 alpha, Osama Khan is seeking a variance from table 5A1 to construct a porch within the front yard setback on a property located at 3 Lenox Street in the residential duplex R2 district, map 22, lot 57, TAC 2Z, or Zebra, ZBA case 07-2025. There's a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Ms. Crosley.
Yeah. So as stated, the applicant is seeking to construct an 8x36 covered front porch within the front yard setback. This lot is a corner lot and has 2 fronts and 2 sides. The applicant proposes to meet a 22-foot setback. Where the lot is developed under a cluster subdivision, the development has special setbacks within the development 20 feet from the front with 0 side and rear. Exterior boundaries 25-foot front, 10-foot side, 30-foot rear. This lot being on the exterior of the development, the frontage along Bartlett Street has a 25-foot setback. Lenox Street has a 20-foot setback. So it's a little different than standard, but that was the ordinance that which the subdivision was developed at the time. There was a variance granted in 2016 to allow the increasing of a non-conforming structure. This was to construct a 20.9 foot by 12 foot enclosed deck that did not meet the 10-foot boundary setback and encroaches 2 to 3 feet. And as mentioned, this lot was created by subdivision in 2002. It was a 25-lot single-family residential development. And the applicants addressed the 5 criteria so the board can move forward.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Crosley? Okay, seeing none, will the applicant please come forward? How this works is you state your name and tell us why we should grant the variance. Then we'll open it up for the general public, anyone else to have any comments, and then we'll have you come back up and we'll ask you some questions.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Osama Khan. I'm the property owner of 3 Lenox Street in Somersworth. The reason I'm requesting this variance is, firstly, there are religious considerations that for being the house neat and clean. That's one of the reasons we use the garage door mostly. We take our shoes off outside the house. And the second is the package theft. Since we moved into the house, we have 3 or 4 incidents where we lost the packages. And thirdly, so that my parents can enjoy the outdoors more using the front porch.
Okay. Do you want to briefly go through how it meets the 5 criteria for a variance?
Could you please repeat the criterias? I don't remember.
Do you have your application with you?
No, not in my hand.
Would you like mine?
Just you can briefly touch on how it meets the 5 criteria, and if you want to expand upon it a little, it gives you a chance to expand upon anything more than you've already written down. So it should be on the back of your first page.
Right. Yeah, when I was filling out this form, basically, it's not contrary to the public interest because it's a positive addition to the residential property, and I couldn't find a reason why it would negatively impact the neighbors or abuters. If the variance was I don't see a reason how it would affect the spirit of the ordinance, given that we are, I don't know if encroaching is the right word to use. We are encroaching 3 feet beyond the set limits. However, when I was looking at the deck designs before filling out this form, 8 feet front porch, what I came up with would be a reasonable from what we are looking to do with it. So it's a basically addition of 3 feet that's going beyond the limits. I think that's about it. Oh, the surrounding properties, again, I think it's a positive addition to the resident. It's a common practice to have front porches, and it should no way have a negative effect on the surrounding properties. That's about it.
Okay. All set?
Questions? All set?
Yeah, and then we'll see if anyone has any comments. My butters have any comments, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Okay.
All right? You can hold on to that for now. Any persons want to come up and speak either for or against? Please come on up, state your name and address, and
Hi, I'm Renee Tavares, one of the owners at 4 Lenox Street, directly across the street from the Cons. We also have a farmer's porch on the front of our house. We use it very regularly. I do want to speak for them to have this porch added. There are a few in our neighborhood, and for those of us that do have those porches, we have packages out of the elements. Most drivers won't use a side porch or just leave things standing against a garage or a car, but we have had a number of thefts. My house is not affected by that, just for the purpose of the porch, I believe, because when they get put on the porch, they kind of tuck them behind the railing, so things are out of the view of the public for the most part. I also think that it would be a nice addition to the neighborhood. Our 2 houses are the first that are seen when you enter the development from Lenox Street, and it would add a nice look to the neighborhood.
okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak, either for or against?
We have written correspondence as well.
Sorry, excuse me?
We have written correspondence as well.
Okay.
So if
No one else would
on?
speak. You can go right to the written one.
Okay. So we received an email, and I apologize if I say the name wrong. It is Janet Cuervas from 7 Lenox Street. She emailed Michelle saying, "Hello, Michelle. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing in support of my neighbor's request to build a front porch at their residence located at 3 Lenox Street in Somersworth. As a resident of the neighborhood, I have no objection to the construction of the porch. In fact, I believe that adding a front porch will be a positive improvement to the home and to the overall aesthetic of the street. Enhancements like this contribute to the charm and character of our neighborhood and encourage a welcoming, community-oriented atmosphere. Please feel free to include this message in the record for tomorrow's hearing."
Very well. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, will the applicant please come back? All right, questions for the applicant? Go ahead.
I guess I just need your help a little bit to orient myself here. Lenox Street is the side that we're putting the porch on, right? That's
Correct.
the front of the house.
That's correct.
It's 22 feet from Lenox Street to the building or to where your proposed porch is?
So 22 feet is where the proposed fence or porch would end. Currently, it's 30 feet. The
Currently it's
house
30 feet to
starts
the
30
house.
feet from the front end of the lawn.
Mhm.
After having the porch, we would have 22 feet lawn in front of the house. Or front-
22 feet remaining.
Correct.
Do you have any idea approximately how far it is from Bartlett Ave?
The side of the house
The
from
side,
Bartlett Ave?
yes.
I have no idea, but it seems
Over
more than what we have
25.
on Lenox Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
One sec. How far is it from Bartlett? Isn't it the variance from the side street? This variance is from Bartlett, correct?
The variance is for the fronts, and the lawn may not be where his property starts.
Okay.
Based off of we have a plan that I can print to provide for everyone that shows where the house was supposed to be constructed and that it's 23 feet from the property line off of Lenox Street. which would give them 3 feet to construct to comply with that 20-foot setback, which is the front 20 on Lennox.
Okay, so they're
Bartlett
5
has a
feet.
25-foot setback. To be confusing.
So they're 5 feet non-conforming on Lennox Street.
If they were to get the,
Yes, if it's an 8-foot, it would be 5 feet into the setback,
Into the setback. Perfect.
based off of the plot plan that was in the building file for the house. So they have 3 feet, and then to meet, that would be to the 20, and then so 5 more feet into the setback.
5 feet of relief on Lennox Street, none on Bartlett. They're conforming as far as we know.
They are going, based off of the sketch in the application, it's in line with the house, correct?
Yeah.
The corner
Correct.
of the house? You're not wrapping it around?
No, it's just the front of the house, which is towards the Lennox Street.
Yeah, so that would be with the 30, so that side, the information is that it's 33 feet from the property line. So it's the relief off of Lennox, so the 20-foot setback.
Okay. And then one other question. On your sketch, you depict the stairs inside the limits of the deck. Is that the intention here?
Correct.
So
just
the
to not
exterior fascia of the deck would be the furthest limit away from the house?
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you very
Exactly.
much.
Yep.
Additional questions? I got a question for you. So one of the criteria that we have to meet, and we have to judge based on this, is what we often call the hardship criteria. And what it states, it's the criteria 5, it's really an unnecessary hardship. Does the zoning ordinance create an unnecessary hardship? And one of the things that it says is, okay, what is unique about your property that we should grant the variance that, like, it's not that nobody else would get it, but typically the other properties in the area don't have this configuration. So why should we grant it to your property? What is special about your property that we should grant a variance?
So one thing I noticed walking around the neighborhood is that my house is sitting closer to the road compared to all the other houses. There is room behind the house, more than 30 feet or so, that it could be sitting behind so that we have that opportunity to build the porch. However, that's one thing that I could find unique about it. It's sitting closer to the road, Lennox Street, and we don't have that opportunity. The other thing about the corner property having 2 fronts, I'm not exactly sure how it was determined that the driveway would be on Lennox Street versus Bartlett Ave, but if it was the other way around, there wouldn't be any problem as far as I can tell. Unnecessary hardship, I believe that's the only thing I could think of right now.
Okay, thanks. Other questions for the applicant? All right, seeing none, any final comments by the applicant?
I believe if this variance is granted, that would make the experience of my whole family more enjoyable. We can enjoy the house and the property more and be outside a little more during the season when the season permits, and give us the opportunity to enjoy it more. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, understand.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
all set? Just want to make sure, I don't want to,
Yeah,
you're all
I'm all
set?
set.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
don't want to cut you off, that's what I'm be sure. All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. First thing we need to address is regional impact. What's the wish of the board? Mr. Brooks?
I move that the variance request from Osama Khan does not have potential for regional impact.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Hilton. So the motion is that it does not have any regional impact. Any discussion on that? Seeing no discussion, I'll entertain a vote. The vote is if it does not have regional impact. All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. 5-0, motion passes. Discussion on the variance. Wow, I must have had a good day today. Vincent, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I always look at these variances as unique sometimes because, we've had stuff come before us that has been 1 foot. I remember a garage on West High Street, 1 foot. And I look at them unique because, well, in this case, I almost think that did the builder make a mistake? I mean, I understand you can put your porch out back, but not leaving enough space, I think, for a front porch. When you see these other houses that have porches, I just think sometimes that was a mistake. However, being unique is, first of all, the appearance of the building would be a complete transition to actually making the building more presentable to the neighborhood. Another thing is that if the neighbors were all coming out in groves and complaining, you know, we don't want this here, you know, there isn't one neighbor that has said anything, correct? I know we had the reading, 2?
One email and the neighbor,
Right.
both spoke in favor.
So there's nobody really opposed to it. It's a kind of a low. It's a neighborhood that's really kind of. It's not too tight, but it's close. I just think it's not going to hurt anything, and there's nobody speaking against it. And then we think about this. We think about, will this open up a can of worms? You know, these setbacks aren't always perfect in some way or shape or form. And I just don't think that this is a giant impact. And like I said, I take these cases not all the same, but unique. And I have no problems with this. I'll urge the board to pass it. Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Just to quickly touch on the hardship criteria, just as kind of the memo says, it is on the exterior of the development and it's a corner lot. I think those are the kind of the items that are unique here about where this property sits, and maybe not necessarily the building itself. Whether that's sufficient to kind of overcome the bar of hardship, I think that's kind of what the board needs to battle with. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
I find the clustered developments interesting because obviously they get some relief on the general setbacks that are typically allowed there. They usually allow a smaller setback. So, you know, they seem to fill the lots more with the building unless, you know, because they're allowed to go closer to the boundaries. So they're already getting some reprieve from it in that sense. But at the same time, it is on the outside of it, as they called it, an exterior lot, which, you know, it's kind of a rare occasion that they put that into ordinances. I'm not sure I've heard of another one that uses that reference before. I know we've done other cluster subdivisions that have discussed that, and I never remember hearing one reference an exterior lot. So I find it interesting that those exterior lots get a different setback than the rest of them. I've always, from experience, found them to all have the same. So that does make it a little unique, but I don't know if it's enough for the hardship. I mean, there is room out back for a porch. I doubt a delivery person would want to walk around the building. That seems to be a tall order for delivery people. They seem to have a hard time finding the house, from my experience. But I don't know. It is close to a relatively major road, but it's not on that front side that's facing that major road either. It is kind of a dead-end cul-de-sac-like neighborhood, so I don't know. I'm kind of tossed up on this one.
Yeah, I think in my interpretation of the exterior, is if it was to the lots that aren't a part of the subdivision, it has basically normal setbacks, but interior to the subdivision, the setbacks are set by the cluster development. It's kind of the way I kind of interpret it. Would that be close, Ms. Crosley?
Yeah, I think so.
Other discussion. Mr. Hilton?
This kind of deal is always a challenge because one of the things that we talk about all the time is density, and everybody gets worked up about, you know, these kind of things. But if you've got houses in the development right next to it that are that have different setbacks, and this neighbor is trying to better his property. The neighbor from across the street comes and says, that's a good thing. I think I think we ought to work with people to try and make the city a better place. So I would vote for giving the person the variance.
Okay. Any discussion on the other criteria? Mr. Fredette?
Do you mind if we just go through?
No, go right ahead.
All right, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. I don't see that this specifically meets the bar that this is contrary to the public interest. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed. I really think it is. I get Mr. Hilton's point, and I think he hits on it. It becomes about density. I would make the argument that the variance exists to keep living space separated and to limit density. I don't think this porch is going to allowing construction of this is going to be drastically in violation of the spirit of the ordinance. Would it do substantial justice? Sure, the neighbors are not dissatisfied. Applicant seems like a great guy with good intentions. I don't see how it would not do justice. If the variance were granted, the values of surrounding properties would not be diminished. Again, I'm going to note the abutters' comments. I'm also going to say I don't see how it would diminish surrounding property values, especially if there are other houses in the development with such porches. Number 5, I am going to say I'm struggling with this one. I think we can find ways that this property is unique, but I don't know if it rises to the bar that the next person coming in can't find them. But this criteria is always my hang-up.
Okay. Further discussion? Ms. Fredette?
I will comment that I don't think being a corner lot is unique. There are lots of corner lots that face this. There are lots of corner lots, and there are certainly exterior. There are lots that are on the corners of development, so I don't think that makes it unique. I will add that.
Very well. Further discussion? What's the wish of the board? Mr. Brooks?
I'll make a motion after the review of the application, the file, and all the information presented to the board. I feel that all 5 criteria have been satisfied because the exterior lot configuration, corner lot, it's relatively unique. This is a cluster division that sits well off the road that it's built off of. So there's very few exterior lots because of that, making this one relatively unique in my mind. And I move that the request for... Is this a typo with Brian Barrington on it?
Just delete Brian Barrington. He didn't get one. Ignore him on there.
And I move that the request on behalf of Osama Khan for the variance from table 5.A.1 to construct a porch within the front yard setback on a property located at 3 Lenox Street be granted with the following condition: that it be built at only 8 feet, which would leave an encroachment of 17. Setback of
5.
It would encroach 5, leaving a 15-foot setback. Because it was 20-foot setback initially.
It should be 22.
So based off, yes, Richard's right. Based off the information that I have from historic file building permit information, that The front of the house is meeting a 23-foot setback. 8 foot, 3 feet complies, 5 foot would setback in. So-
Leaving a 15-foot
Yep,
setback.
meeting a 15-foot setback.
I'll second that.
Hearing motion second, discussion. Ask a question, how do you see that the, being a corner lot creates a burden on the front setback? The front setback's the same setback for everybody in development, so whether it's a corner lot or not, it has the same front setback, and this variance is for the front setback.
So corner lots end up with 2 fronts because they have 2 roads bordering them instead of just one like most. But it's also an exterior lot, and it just, I've never run into this before with all the subdivisions we've had that get into the cluster subdivisions. It just seems like a very odd thing to call it out as an exterior property, and on top of that, it's a corner lot. I suppose if this cluster subdivision had several lots along Bartlett, but it seems to only have the 2. So it's just, the whole situation seems unique to me in this sense, the way that it's calling out those, but those are the only 2 that are exterior to it, if I'm understanding it correctly.
Okay, Mr. Fredette?
But to your point, Mr. Chairman, and forgive me if I'm not following what you're saying, this is not in what is the exterior setback. The subject would be the same setback that would exist for any property in that subdivision. Am I following you?
Correct.
Yep. And is there something, Ms. Crosley, I'm not understanding about an exterior lot? My understanding here is we're calling this an exterior lot because it is a corner lot, and we're giving the corner that is on Bartlett Avenue a different relief than we are giving any other lot in the subdivision. Am I incorrect?
So it's an exterior because it is on the Bartlett and the Lennox. So you could clarify if you're only giving this setback relief for the Lennox Street side and not for the Bartlett as well, too. Because they are technically both fronts. They do have different setback requirements due to the,
So let me help let me help for Mr. Fredette a little bit. So the reason they're saying that is the setback on the side of that lot, since it isn't abutting another property in the development, had to meet all normal setback requirements. So that's why it's called an external, because, so that side, whether it's a corner or a lot or not, it had to meet the normal setback requirements because it's abutting a normal property. Normal property is not within the development.
Correct, but that would be the case with theoretically, any corner lot has to meet different setback requirements for being a corner lot.
Well, think about this. Say that it wasn't a corner lot and the street kept going down.
Correct.
And the development started halfway down the street. Then that side setback would only be 10 feet. Because there was no street there, it wasn't a corner lot.
Correct, but we're not talking about, and I'm not being argumentative, we're not talking about that side, we're talking
Correct.
about the front.
You are correct.
That becomes the issue, is we're asking theoretically for relief from something that is no different than anything else in the subdivision.
In my opinion, yes, but Mr. Brooks may have different.
So can I make a amendment to my motion?
You may.
So I will make the amendment that it would be only for the Lennox Street side, not for the Bartlett side. And so that'll just complete my motion.
Wait.
I can live with that.
Mr. Vincent has to agree, because then you want to say something more.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So as I'm reading the dimensions and what's required here, within the development, they're allowed a 20-foot front setback and a 0-foot side and rear. So my understanding is the only setback they have on any of these properties within that development is 20 feet from a road. Everywhere else, they have a 0-foot setback, side or rear. There are some corner lots in there, I'm sure, because there's several roads involved in this. So they would have 2 fronts on those particular lots, needing 20 foot. The this one, and I assume the one across the street, I believe are the only two exterior boundaries that are out on another road frontage that then have that's not within, that would be an exterior boundary. All the rest are landlocked in without roads other than the roads of the development itself. So my understanding is these two alone that are out front at Bartlett have a 25-foot front setback, a 10-foot side, and a 30-foot rear. So they have a lot more setbacks simply because they're the two exterior boundaries. And if you think of it as Bartlett being the frontage of the development, they're still going to be meeting that 25-foot setback. They're just getting a smaller setback within the development on Lenox Street. That's my reasoning to why allowing it on that side,
Okay.
if that makes sense, I guess.
Actually,
No,
Mr. Jones, since the motion's been made, you can't comment anymore. Sorry about that. Further discussion on the motion. Mr. Fredette?
I mean, I will say that the other lots in the subdivision, if they are allowed a 20-foot front setback, this porch would still encroach that 20-foot front setback.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Those opposed? The motion passes 3-2. The variance is granted. Item 3, Bravo. Roman Catholic Bishop of Manchester is seeking an equitable waiver to allow a roof structure, concrete landing, and steps within the side setback on a property located at 10 Dolson Street in the residential duplex R2 district, map 24, lot 5, ZBA case 9/2025. There is a public hearing. Ms. Crosley.
Yep. So the applicant constructed a roof structure to cover concrete landing and steps that was discovered at the time of the as-built records to be located, it was discovered that it is located within the side setback. The applicants provided a sketch plan to show the layout of the building and the lot. This structure was part of a site plan approval in 2024 for the Roman Catholic Bishop of Manchester. They converted a single-family building into a church. It's a religious facility use, and they did complete a lot line adjustment with their other lot for compliance with a setback on the more of the grass side, if you look at the image of the picture. They've addressed the criteria for the equitable waiver, and the board can move forward with this request.
Okay, so my first question is, in the setback, are the stairs and the ramp and all that, are they in the setback?
Yes, the roof covers all of that.
So does the stairs are they included in the equitable waiver request? What do are they allowed to be in the setback?
We mentioned it just because we didn't want it to be an issue should the discussion decide that they also should be included. I believe that code enforcement had indicated that I think they're pretty much flush with the ground. There is a step up on the concrete landing. Steve saying yes. The roof covers the whole stairs from what I understand. So it's all part of one thing, but I do believe that the concrete landing could stay.
Yeah. Okay, so because I'm trying to understand where we're at, what we're asking for and what equitable waiver for. So what you're saying is that the stairs and the landing are all set.
Yep,
It's just the roof.
it's the roof structure.
I can fill that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have the applicant fill it in. All right, other questions for Ms. Crosley? I'm sure we'll have some. Mr. Fredette.
As I usually do, sorry, Attorney Bruton, I do this to you every time. Attorney Bruton's office does represent me from time to time. I don't see how this is going to influence my decision. If Attorney Bruton or the applicant would like me to recuse myself, I'm happy to do so.
We're not asking for that.
No problem, I'd just like to disclose it.
Okay. The applicant has already stepped forward. Please state your name and why we should
John.
grant the equitable waiver.
Point of
Oh,
order.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'm sorry, it's going to be
Sure.
ditto because I do work with Mr. Bouton also, but I just,
You feel comfortable you can make
yes,
independent
yes, I
decision?
do. I do feel comfortable.
And Mr. Bouton, you have any issues?
I do not.
Okay. All
Thank
set?
you.
Anyone
Thank
else
you.
want to have any issues?
Well,
Anybody, any member, you know?
him to represent me.
It's a small world.
Go ahead, Mr. applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is FX Bruton. I'm with Bruton and Barabee in Dover, and with me tonight is Steve Height, the engineer that we both appeared in front of the planning board to do the site plan, the site plan and the lot line adjustment. This is a associated structure with St. Martin's Church. The church is on the lot to the, I'll say, northwest, if you will, but it's in the adjoining lot. And one of the unique aspects of this issue, this whole project, is that when we proposed the use, we utilized the other lot, which is the main lot for the church, for the parking, and we utilized a parking easement, and that all went through planning board. So it's a integrated use in a sense, so it's a little bit unique in that we're not sitting with an abutter who's just another property owner. It's the same owner, but nonetheless, and I think Dana accurately depicted what we understand, which is that it's not really the steps issues. The steps were the only thing shown when we went through site plan. The architectural plans, however, showed a roof, and that was built at the end of construction after we did a foundation certification. So this foundation certification came back clean, if you will, in terms of meeting everything. And when they did the as-built, they realized that the architectural plans had included a roof over the stairs and landing. And as a result, the city raised that issue, and the applicant submitted the equitable waiver because it had assumed, and I think part of the test is there was an error in an understanding what was required or the applicability, assumed that the just adding the roof structure would not then bring all of the rest of this into question, but the interpretation was it did. So we're asking for the equitable waiver. So that's how, that's the progression of how the first step is, how did you discover it? When did you discover it? This was the last thing built on the project, so it was after the project had substantially been constructed. The second test is what I already discussed. How did this occur in good faith? And I think I've explained the progression was that the site plan didn't just show the steps and which would be compliant, but when the structure was built based upon the architectural drawings, that roof was added to it for safety reasons, and that then became the structure where the stairs and landing are not a structure. So it was a little bit of an error in that issue, and that's the premise of the waiver, equitable waiver. The third test is this create a private nuisance or diminish in property values? And again, that's why I explained this is kind of an integrated use with the other parcel where the parking is located on the other parcel. So the steps obviously are utilized to get to that, and obviously we would hope you would agree. This doesn't create a public or private nuisance or diminish any property value. And again, it's a structure that was in the same area as the steps, so there was no basic encroachment in a sense, because those things could be within a setback, and now we have a roof to make it even safer. So in any event, that's why this could not be considered a nuisance. The next question is, does the cost of construction far outweigh public benefit? If we took off this roof for these steps, you would only increase a risk of a more unsafe environment. There doesn't seem to be any reason to do that, particularly in light of this unique use vis-a-vis utilizing the parking on the other lot for the purposes of this structure, which was, again, all went through the planning board. So it was, in essence, an error in terms of how this last bit was constructed, but it's an error that doesn't raise to the level of a public nuisance or a diminution in property value. It wasn't, it was telling that there was some need for interpretation by even the staff to understand whether or not it was an issue. Ultimately, they said because you put support for the roof, then we would call it that part the structure, so you should ask for the relief, and that's what we're doing. That's it.
All right, you know the process. We'll see if any have any butters want to talk, and then we can ask you some questions. Any butters like to come and talk, either for or against? Seeing none. Any communication?
None for this item.
Very well. Okay, questions for the applicant. Mr. Vincent, followed by Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question, and that's, so you submitted plans, right, to the city, and
Yep.
basically, it's like the city didn't catch it, am I correct?
We're not blaming the city because
No, I'm not saying that anyway. I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking that maybe these things should have been caught. This is a minor thing, in my opinion.
I completely agree it's minor, but the site plan did not show an overhang. The architectural plans, which may or may not, I don't remember, to be honest with you, if that was fully fleshed out. It was more the site plan in front of the planning board. So
Right.
I don't want to ever suggest that the city missed something. We
Right.
missed it.
Right.
This is the premise of the equitable waiver is we did miss it. It wasn't because it was intentional, just kind of came at the end, but it did result in a safer situation. And that's that premise, and I think we meet that test.
And a follow-up.
Yep.
So you've been doing this for a long time, and you've seen these things happen a lot. This isn't something that's uncommon. This happens quite a bit, actually, in building. I'm a builder myself, so that's I just think these happen more frequent than people think, and I just think that sometimes these things happen. This isn't a drastic thing, so I'm thinking that
No, and I think the more important thing is when it was found at the as-built, we came to the city to talk about
Right.
it. They had to interpret what it meant, and we're pretty upfront about it. And we want to, the church always wants to work with the city, so that's why we're here.
I even like that better, the honesty. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks.
So the architectural plans did show these covered walkways initially?
I don't know if that was always the case, and I don't know if you know, Steve, if you want to comment on that.
Good evening, Steve Hyde with Civil Works. The original architectural plans had shown a little A-frame cupola over the doors themselves, and as it progressed, apparently what they had talked about was that's specifically so when you go in the house, in the building, you're not getting rain on you, and then they talked about the rain to people coming across the sidewalk. So I think it got added after as part of the plan set, but it's not something that we didn't catch it. We didn't catch any changes to that, but sidewalk was always there.
And I understand these are the same owners, obviously. Is this like an administrative building for the church? I mean, what is the use
It's called
of
a
this?
Life Center. It is administrative, and there's conference space for the use for the church. But the interesting thing about this is that if this had been like an overhanging just piece of canvas, which I think was originally kind of how it was conceived, it wouldn't be a structure. So it kind of evolved after the fact of becoming technically a structure because it had more support than a canvas overhang would have. And I think that's kind of what was anticipated in the beginning.
And just another just curiosity here, is there any reason they wouldn't just merge this and make it all one property instead of having two separate properties? I almost imagine the problem would go away if that was the case.
It would, but it wouldn't, because the property, the frontage is on Dolson Street, so the side yard setbacks versus rear yard setbacks do change the analysis of what it would be in terms of then becoming non-conforming. And also, it's just the point of remaining or maintaining flexibility in terms of whether or not ultimately that parcel and that building is forever utilized in conjunction with the church. So it's, obviously the intention would be to always maintain it as one use, but that's one thing that any property owner would have to consider as well.
So basically, if they ever wanted to subdivide later, it might be tougher to do, so it makes sense
Well,
to
it's
keep it a
technically
separate
two
lot.
separate lots.
Exactly.
So they
Well, that's
didn't
what I
have
mean,
to
is if they
Yeah,
were
if they had
merged
to
it,
subdivide it later, then
then it'd be a
an
bigger
issue.
problem, so it exists, leave it as is there.
Right, you're
Okay.
creating
Yep.
kind of more problems.
Hadn't
than
thought
you're-
that
more
forward
problems
thinking
than
on
you're
it.
solving, yeah.
Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
I just never thought of it before, so.
All set, Mr. Brooks? Other questions? Mr. Jones?
I'll probably ask Dana the same question later, but I want you first. Your analysis is that the concrete landing is not a structure, but the roof overhang is. And that's how we ended up here.
That's what we were told in
Okay.
terms of the interpretation from the city.
Okay, understood.
Yep.
And then everything's part of a kind of conjoint site plan, which I totally understand. The building itself, does that have an eave?
I don't recall, but I know that the building and the as-built proved that every other setback was met. But I could ask. Do you know if it, does it have an eave? I can't recall. Probably has a minimal eave, but it would meet the setback requirement,
Okay.
even that roof.
Okay, yeah,
Fine.
I'm just wondering because it's just shown going straight back to the building. I didn't know
Right.
if that connected to the other eave or if it was entirely
Right.
below it.
But the as-built would show those eaves and that they do meet the setbacks.
No, understood. I'm not trying to imply that they don't.
Yep.
I was just wondering if the eave for this particular structure is connected to the eave of the building or if it's entirely below, connected to the building face.
It's below.
Below.
Correct. I'll be quiet.
It affects the construction costs, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, so it actually ties into the roof system as well.
Ties into the roof.
Yeah,
Okay,
so you have
perfect.
the A-frame across the door itself, and then it just comes back across there to the I guess the ramp and the stairs that go out. So they're integrated, so eave to eave it ties into the building itself. So to remove it would be pretty expensive.
Right. It's not
Yeah.
just taking a piece off and
No.
replacing it with some siding. It's literally
Yeah,
reshingling
literally
the
it is an integral part of
section.
the building as it
Okay.
is now.
All right, thank you.
All set, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Pruton? So would it be possible, what would one possible solution be to do a lot line adjustment?
It would, but the city doesn't prefer odd-shaped lots. And it might be, there's a criteria in this analysis as to cost of repair and waste and things like that. And so we're asking for the relief and not asking to go do a lot line adjustment, which would either be an odd-shaped result or a very significant change in the whole structure of these lots, because the lot that is adjoining this is of significant consequence in terms of the length of the lot. So in order to avoid a jog, if you will, an awkward jog, which most towns would prefer not to have, and if they do prefer it, I'm happy to consider that in other projects, but that would then dramatically change or increase the significant amount of property that would be involved in that.
Significant property. I think, I'm not sure I'm understanding. Are you referring to cost?
No, like the amount, like in order to avoid in order to maintain a straight line, that because the property, the adjoining property is so big, it would involve a a significant amount of area to
Okay,
be.
yeah, without doing a jog, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
understand. All right, and I'm having trouble interpreting the as-built drawing, because if I look at the as-built drawing, it would appear like the stairs on the drawing on the right go into the parking lot property, the original church property.
And that is part of the overhang as well. So that, what you see there is the overhang for the stairs
Yeah,
onto that.
so and this may be a question, I mean, I guess I'm confused. So now so now I'm going into the other property. Do I need an equitable waiver for that property? I mean, I'm confused. How did we get to,
I can answer that.
okay,
The only thing that this board has to be concerned with is the setback, the 10-foot setback. The encroachment into another property doesn't actually create a zoning violation, if you will. So there is that
it
encroachment.
does and it doesn't if it's going to violate the setbacks of that other lot.
It doesn't violate the setbacks of the other lot, because the other lot would have 10-foot setback.
So if I build on the first 1 foot of a lot,
Yeah,
am I not in the setback?
I suppose you are. We're 1.6 feet into it. The applicant is the same. I guess if I was asking for a setback encroachment with another applicant, I would just need another applicant. I have the same applicant here. And we are showing it and depicting it as it is. We're not obviously hiding it. So yes, we're crossing into that setback.
Yeah, I'm not saying anyone's hiding, I'm just trying to understand
No,
where
I
it goes and what
I
happens.
agree with your point. I'm just saying that if there was another owner, I would need a second applicant. That would be the only change in the request.
Okay.
But if there was a second applicant, yes, I would need to have that applicant here as well.
So I just find it unique, shall we say, that the structure is built across a property line.
Yeah, and it's not the stairs, and it's not the concrete landing that is. It's only the overhang, and maybe that's the difference. If the stairs and overhang were going through there, that would have been a different issue on the as-built. The as-built was, foundation certification. That would have then triggered a whole different analysis. But it was just the overhang that kind of turned it in from one thing into another.
Oh, yeah, because actually the as-built indicates that the stairs encroach on the other lot 0.78 inches, 0.78 feet, I assume that's the number. Concrete step encroaches 0.78 feet maximum. So that encroaches onto the other lot.
Again, if it did, it wasn't consistent with how the site plan was laid out. And so the equitable waiver is to say, basically, if you made a mistake, and I'll agree with you, that's a mistake to go, even if it's the stairs, the 1 point whatever feet, that's a mistake. The site plan and the foundation survey didn't show that.
Right, and I'm not sure and maybe that the stairs are even in the site,
Right, foundation.
foundation, because that's not
Correct.
part of the foundation.
That's right.
So that wouldn't even be
Right.
there.
So when the as-built came out, after it was all complete, and I would agree with you that if the stairs are 1.6, then they are 1.6 over the property line.
Yeah.
But
it's-
it's done by error, and that's again, that premise of underlying
I'm just
foundation
trying
of
to
the
figure out how we got here.
Right.
And the question is probably for the engineer, is the concrete retaining wall, is that part of the foundation plan? Supports the walkway?
That ramp in front? That is
So,
part of
yeah,
it.
so according to the as-built, is it a ramp? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a ramp in front. So to be perfectly clear, the site plan had always shown side access, and whether it was going to be a walkway or to the parking lot of the church. The stairs were added for whatever reason because they're coming for access off of that. I think it's 0.76, so 8 inches or so, 9 inches into over the property line. The ramp itself is the handicapped accessible access for that. So yes, it is part of and shown on the site plan as well. But there's no retaining wall. Other than that, retaining wall is actually. I'm not sure how what do you classify?
On the drawing, right here on the top, it says concrete retaining wall. Top sketch.
I think
Yeah,
Mr.
Detail
that
18?
that retaining wall is, so it's part of the ramp.
It's part of the ramp.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I get this correctly, the one, if I look at the drawing, the one on the left is probably ground level, and the one on the right is probably like 3 feet up. Is that how that works?
Yeah, kind of grades up there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it corrodes up, okay. Gotcha. All right, I think I understand.
Yeah, and again, had there been nothing on the top, those would have met the setback, other than, I guess, if there's an encroachment into the other side.
Okay. Mr. Brooks?
So I feel that the steps, walkway, even the ramp is more or less exempt from this, because when you think about it, every house has to have a walkway out the front door to access out to the street. And with the nature of our downtown with the hills, you've got many houses that have concrete steps that exit almost onto the sidewalk. So clearly they're within the setbacks. It's just part of a walkway. If there's an elevation change, you have to have steps, maybe a ramp if it's not a severe one.
Yeah.
So I see why the steps are not being considered a
Structure.
here.
Yeah.
It's simply the roof structure that we're considering here. The more I think about this, and I hadn't realized that does actually encroach onto the abutter's property. I know it's the same owner, but yet it's an abutter's property. What if this is sold off later? You're now selling a piece of property to someone that's encroaching onto your own property
Yeah,
still.
but that happens all the time, and that's the I don't want to say buyer beware, because they would certainly be informed.
Okay.
That happens quite a bit, and you either say subject to an easement to correct that issue. So, but the point you made is interesting and important, in that even if the stairs encroach, it's not a structure per se, so it's not
Simply a
encroaching in the
walkway.
setback.
It's just like pavement. It has
Right,
to
it's-
encroach into the setbacks because it has to meet the road.
It's not as if we need the other owner, which happens to be the same one, to talk about that setback, because that's vis-a-vis the stairs. Again, it's only the roof that created the issue and turned it from one thing into another.
It just makes me wonder now if a lot line adjustment wouldn't be the smarter course of action here, to just push that line back 4 or 5 feet. You'd have to extend the sides, obviously, and you'd still have straight lines. It just seems like it might be a cleaner, simpler, long-term answer in my mind, thinking about it.
It would sound simple, but a lot line adjustment through the planning board is and part of the test is cost. It's very expensive. Very expensive to do
simply
that.
do a
And
lot line
just to do the lot line adjustment. And I could tell you stories, but that will be a process that is, first of all, is unnecessary here, but that could be the fix for any, almost, well, I guess you have the same parties, so it's a little bit different, but that would be a very, very significant expense for the applicant.
Okay, fair enough.
And again, the test does relate to the cost of remedial repair. Is it worth it? Is it necessary? In this instance, it could never be necessary. I don't see how it could be reasonably necessary. And if anyone would, this was to be sold off, no intention that would happen. It's a simple drafting issue for the deed, as opposed to invoking a whole nother land use process.
Enough.
Further questions for the applicant? See my notes here, I had something. All right. Final comments by the applicant.
We appreciate the thoughtfulness that you've provided and hope you will agree with us that this is a reasonable request. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll close the public hearing. First order of business is regional impact. Does anyone see that there's Mr. Brooks?
I move that the variance request of the Roman Catholic Bishop of Manchester does not have potential for regional impact.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Hilton. Any discussion that it does not have regional impact? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Passes 5-0. Discussion on the application for an equitable waiver. Mr. Jones.
I was never a huge fan of how Somersworth defines their setbacks as yard setbacks instead of structure setbacks. I just think there's a lot of ambiguity in the word yard. As I understand, driveways are very obviously not subject, and they therefore, even if they were structure setbacks, they can't be considered structures because everybody needs access to their property, right? So for the same reason, the stairs are not. But the eave over the stairs are. So I think the question is removing the roof overhang from the setback entirely a reasonable request in terms of cost to one that, the only person they're harming is themselves. There's no issue with the stairs going over the edge of the property line. That's a private property matter. It doesn't concern us. It's not zoning related. So is there a violation with the roof overhang where that is subject to the yard setback? That is a substantial problem that needs to be addressed. My biggest concern here with this application is when the error was caught. The roof overhang not being depicted on the original site plan that was approved by the planning board is a little bit of a red flag to me. But I think the rest of it seems really reasonable, and removing the entirety of the roof overhang I think is a substantial cost. A lot line adjustment would probably cost even more than that cost. Just paying engineers and surveyors to draft up plans.
Engineers, surveyors, and
attorneys.
Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So being a builder and built in a few homes and done some remodeling, this is not something that's out of the ordinary. It's pretty simple. If you're hung up on the lot line adjustment, then let's just pass this tonight. And if they ever sell it, the person buying it can have the lot line adjustment on that end. Other than that, this is a small matter, and let's pass this and go home. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fredette, is that your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, anybody that's done any level of major construction, either as a builder or remodeler, or even built their own home, I think I'm about ready to start mine, and after about the 23rd set of plans, I've had just about enough of all of it, and things get missed. That's just the way it is. We don't know the future. I don't see these two properties getting split anytime in the immediate future. The cost is going to far outstrip the benefit that's going to come to the public at any level. I'm in favor of this.
Okay.
Do you mind if I go through the criteria?
If you wish.
The violation was not noticed. We've discussed that. They did get a foundation certification. I think they've demonstrated whether there was an error, wasn't an error. It doesn't sound to me like it was an intentional error. Okay. I'm not going to repeat two. It seems pretty reasonable. It doesn't present the roof structure. I would have different concerns theoretically about the stairs, but the roof structure itself that we're being asked to rule on doesn't constitute a public or private nuisance in any way, and it's not going to adversely affect, the roof is not going to adversely affect any present or permissible future uses of the property. And obviously, as has been attested to, the cost of trying to address this is going to outstrip the benefit that's going to come from it.
Okay. I'm a little concerned about, last time we had an equitable waiver, it was over a cement structure. So I'm just a little confused, and I know we're not going to solve it tonight here, but putting cement stairs in front of your house, can anyone put those in a setback, or are they included in the setback?
It was the AC condenser though, right? Not the
Yes,
cement.
I understand that.
Okay.
So, now I'm going to stairs. So, Ms. Crosley, do you know if stairs could you put stairs in a setback?
I know when you construct stairs like as part of a deck, because the Whipper Sandlot equitable waiver that you had, their stairs were located within the setback due to their,
Turn of the building
Yeah.
or something. Yep. Frankers
Their
on Whippoorwill, yeah.
error that they had during construction. The construction of those stairs were deemed that they needed to meet setback. This setup of the concrete landings were not deemed that it needed to.
Does,
Okay. Do you happen to have any reason why they don't?
is it ADA? Am I crazy about that? Because it's an ADA ramp, do I feel like it gets a certain amount of
It only
relief?
has for private, it was only an exception for private,
That's for residential.
for residential.
That you can have the
residential.
exception on that, yes.
So I think a better way to explain this is that with these steps, it's a cement walkway that's on the ground. This isn't an elevated wooded structure. This is a cement path that sits on the ground and then has to follow the contour as it drops off as it gets closer to the parking lot.
You say that, but I don't,
I
not to be
drove-
argumentative.
I drove by and looked at
Not
it.
to be
That's what I
argumentative,
would
but a
understand
set
it
of
as.
stairs, okay,
Yep.
a walkway, I would agree, just like a driveway.
Yep.
A set of stairs is something that sticks up as ground.
But
So, but that's not the issue tonight. So
I
all
just-
I'm saying is the city needs to evaluate how they look at stairs to ensure they're consistent and how they apply the setbacks to stairs.
I think you're touching exactly on the yard setback versus structure setback.
So, because if,
Yeah.
I would have thought a set of stairs would be considered a structure and therefore would not be allowed to be in a setback. But that isn't how it was interpreted by the city engineer, and I'm not debating that.
Building inspector.
Excuse me?
The city engineer doesn't review.
Oh, I'm sorry, not the city engineer,
building
the
plans.
city. Let me just say the city. I don't want to put any pointing fingers, just the city. So therefore, so we got here because we have the stairs, I won't call them a structure, the stairs and above, there, and want to put a roof over it. The roof, it's a hard roof, it's pretty much a structure like a house, so it is a structure, so that's a structure. How it's supported, but there's a structural roof versus a canvas roof. All right. So, any discussion on this? Mr. Jones?
Just to close that out, I think the tricky part here is that structures are not inherently prohibited from the yard setback because of the way it's defined. So it being a structure is not immediately prohibited from being in the setback. It has to be a specific type of thing. Buildings, overhangs, those items, how Somersworth defines it. Am I wrong, Dana?
That's a good assessment of it.
Because the setback does not say no structures. It's a open yard setback is how it's defined.
You're hung up on that word yard.
Because that's very important here, because the stairs, even if they're structures, they're not part of the analysis here, because they're not prohibited from being inside the setback, but the overhang is, according to, our zoning officer.
Not the overhang, but the cover,
Cover, yeah.
because I don't want to get into eaves and all that kind of stuff.
Doesn't the cover the stairs for the entirety of the setback here anyway?
Right, which is what the equitable
Which is
waivers
why,
are.
correct, which is why another reason I would say the stairs aren't our.
I just wanted to close out the stair discussion. Yeah.
It's not clear. All right, any other discussion by the board? Chair will entertain a motion then. Mr. Hilton? You're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I just want to get it done.
Turn your mic on.
I just did. Thank you. After review of the application, the file, and all the information presented to the board, I feel that all conditions have been satisfied because,
As discussed.
as discussed, I think we ought to do this. And I move to the request of the Roman Catholic Bishop of Manchester for an equitable waiver to allow a roof structure, concrete landing, and steps within the setback be granted with the following conditions. I'm done.
Second that.
Second by Mr. Vincent. So we have a motion by Mr. Hilton, second by Mr. Vincent to approve the equitable waiver. Any discussion on the motion? Those discussion on the motion, all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Passes 5-0. Equitable waiver is granted. All right, item C, any other new business come before the board? Ms. Crosley.
Just reporting to you all that you have on your desk the most recent updates to the zoning ordinance. This includes, I'll do a quick run through, Section 20 for plaza signage where the applications are submitted. Section 21, circulation and parking, provides for alternative parking solutions and workforce housing parking requirements. Section 24, a rewrite of the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. This allows for detached accessory dwelling units now. Section 25, definitions, updates accessory dwelling and adds habitable space, and there's a renumbering of the section that you got of that. And Table 4A2, which allows religious uses everywhere per an
Does
RSA.
what? Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Religious uses are allowed to be anywhere within the city due to an RSA update.
Was there something, was it not allowed somewhere?
Yeah, we historically had prohibited it from certain zones, but it's now all. The RSA that passed a couple years ago requires religious uses to be allowed everywhere.
Okay.
And that was from a Supreme Court case, right? From New Hampshire Supreme Court case.
Yeah, there was a court case that.
Yep,
That was a good one.
18 months.
So that
It was 18 months.
is all I have. We are working on some master plan chapters. Expect to send out some surveys later in the summer, so keep an eye out for that. We'd love to hear your input.
Very well. Anything else, Ms. Crosley? Any, you sure?
Let me bring anything up. I know you guys really want to hang out.
Well, it's you bring up whatever you need to bring out. Bring
No,
out
I don't have anything else.
whatever you need. We are here for you.
I'm good.
All right, any other new business from the board? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Mr. Fedett.
Motion to
second by
adjourn.
Mr. Vincent. All those in favor of adjourning, raise your right hand. Raise it. Come on, let's go. Get them up. We are adjourned, 5-0.